Reading with your kids.
Hola, ni hao, konnichiwa, assalamu alaikum, shalom, mahaba, ciao, bonjour, namaste, jumbo. Bienvenidos. Hey, my name is Jedley. This is Reading with Your Kids. We are coming to you from the beautiful, historical, book-loving neighborhood of Reedville, the loveliest neighborhood in all of Boston. I believe real magic happens when we share stories together. When a child sits down with a parent, grandparent, or teacher and opens up a book, hearts connect, imaginations grow, and love shines brighter. Our mission is to celebrate those moments and to encourage and inspire families to read more together. Today we're meeting some incredible authors that have some really fun stories to share with you. First up, Jeanine Pastoris and Joshua Jackson are here to celebrate the Adventures of Tubby Nugget, Escape from Nuggetville. You're going to love Jeanine and Joshua. What a cute couple. And I'm an old guy. I don't use that term very much, but they were like super cute and super fun. You're going to love them. Later in the show, we're going to take a listen back to a conversation we had with Emily Ettlinger. She's celebrating Skelenor the Decomposer. Hey, this episode of Reading with Your Kids is brought to you by Fart Boy and Reeky Dog, a great, fun book by Joan Hullab. Hey, it's time to meet the smelliest superhero you've ever encountered. Introducing Fart Boy and Reeky Dog from New York Times best-selling author Joan Hullab at P.U. Smellementary School. Yes, you heard that right. An ordinary kid named Bartholomew makes an extraordinary discovery. His farts have superpower. But wait, it gets even crazier. There's a secret lab hidden beneath the school. An evil alien scientist named Professor Gravy Pants, and a stinky sidekick turned good guy, Reeky Dog. Together, they must stop a world domination plan that really stinks. That's right, this is a superhero story packed with action, friendship, and lots of laughs your kid will be talking about all day long. And guess what? This is just the beginning, because Fart Boy and Reeky Dog is a hilarious two-book series your family is going to love. So, if your kids love superheroes, if they love goofy, giggly humor, and if they love stories that celebrate being different, then it's time to let it rip with Fart Boy and Reeky Dog. Grab your copy today and get ready to laugh, read, and discover that even the stinkiest powers can be used for good. Boy, my friends, I don't know what's going on, but I'm having a blast talking to my guests before we even hit record. I have to just start recording the minute that the Zoom turns on, because you guys are missing a lot of great content. Our guests are here today to celebrate their new middle grade novel. Is called The Adventures of Tubby Nugget, Escape from Nuggetville. Please welcome to the show first, the author, Jeanine Pastoris. Jeanine, how are you?
I'm doing great. How are you?
I'm fantastic. Jeanine has this bright smile right now that is just glowing. And next to her, right here, is the illustrator and her partner, Joshua Jackson. Hey, Joshua, how are you?
Hello, I'm doing good. So nice talking to you already.
Yeah, Joshua also has a smile, but it doesn't shine as big as Jeanine.
We get that a lot. I'm just like, how can I compete?
Oh, that's really sweet.
Yeah.
Well, let's start with you, Jeanine. Tell us about who is Tubby Nugget? Tubby Nugget.
Oh, that's so cute because my brother-in-law calls him Toby Nugget too. But he is honestly like the embodiment of our love. He kind of just came out of the woodworks in 2016, and he was a little inside joke where Josh would draw this little nugget who would make my day whenever I was feeling sad or down. And now he's doing that for people all around the world. Yeah.
That's so cool. So, Joshua, you're a good partner. You just kind of wake up and just, unprompted, just kind of draw a little thing to make you stay?
Here's the thing. When we started dating, she would call me a Nugget as a
did.
nickname.
And
I was like, that's it was my first relationship. I was like, I don't know if this is normal. I don't think it is. But
I thought it was a pretty good nickname.
Yeah, so I started drawing these little nuggets for her on my phone, just with my finger, and then and she loved them. She was like, oh, they're so cute and tubby. And so she coined the term Tubby Nugget. And whenever if she was feeling sad on a certain day, I'd be like, okay, gotta draw a little nugget, cheer her up. If she needed a little laugh, draw a little Tubby Nugget doing something silly, like, stuffing himself with like cupcakes or like cooking a pizza or whatever. Yeah. And if we were in a fight, I'd be like, gotta send an apology nugget with a little rose. And it always did the trick.
Yeah, it was quite easy to make me make me laugh and take me out of those moments. And that's part of the joy of Tubby's simplicity.
That's cool. You don't look tubby, Joshua.
Where you know what? We think tubby things are just so cute. I feel like the tubbier they are, the cuter they are. And she loves tubby things.
Yes. Anytime Tubby got rounder, I would be happier. And so Josh just cracked the code and was like, okay, as tubby as possible, and Jeanine will be happy.
I've been trying to put on weight and not exercising for that same reason. So it's a great incentive.
That's great.
Well, I am tubby, so I wouldn't recommend it. It's,
I'm sure your wife loves it.
So that is such a great origin story. That's really, really cool. So Jeanine, was it like something planned that you sat down and said, Joshua, we can make $1 million. We can start a franchise, animation all over the world, Tubby Nuggets all over the world. Did you just have an idea for a cute story one day? And
honestly, so for us, it was more so that like it came out of like a need to pursue something joyful in the midst of like a hard time. So I am originally a writer. I went to school to be a screenwriter. I was freelancing in that space. And there was a period of time where I actually had to be in and out of the hospital. And my doctors were just recommending, like, maybe now is not the time to commit to, like, full-time employment in, like, someplace you have to go into work every day.
Yeah, and she's a go-getter. She was, like, so excited to, get into working. I think she had a couple offers from some companies. And the doctor's like, hey, take a pause. Don't, just relax, let your health recover.
And Josh was so supportive, and he knew that, like, I'm not somebody who does well staying stationary. And so he encouraged me to write for him. He was like, hey, those nuggets that I draw for you, you can write these fun little webcomics for him, and then I'll draw them for you. We can post them online. It'll be fun. It'll help get your mind off things. Maybe like people will enjoy his stories. Yeah. And so we started posting them online in short form content. And
it was just on Instagram. Yeah. Originally, it was just the Instagram account was just like a little joke for, people, except for our friends and family, to see the little nuggets. And then when we started doing webcomics, we were like, okay, maybe we might get some, traction here. Maybe we'll get like 10,000 followers at the end of the year. And lo and behold, we got 10,000 followers at the end of the week, and we were like, "Whoa, there's something, people seem to like this." You know?
I think it just accidentally became our career because we found out we loved writing these stories and making people's days. Yeah, and now we're doing it for I think let's see, six, 7 years. Yeah, 6, 7 years. So,
that is so cool. People work so hard, and I think they're so quick to kind of give up and say, oh, it's not working. I had this idea, it's not working. But you guys are just proving that you just got to keep at it.
Oh yeah, 100%. I agree. There's been many times where we were like, man, we have a big win. And then maybe nothing happens for like a couple months, and we're like, I don't know, where are we gonna go? We do have a great manager that I have to give a lot of props to. That she helps us strategize and figure out what the next move is. So, and we've been surrounded. I think the key is, don't give up. And we've also been surround yourself with good people, because we've been surrounded with people who are so supportive, that genuinely want the best for us. And sometimes when there's when you have a good thing going, sometimes some people, let's just say some people might want to be a little predatory and might want to like take advantage of that success. But I feel like Jeanine and we have a good sense of we're surrounded by great friends who aren't even involved in Tubby Nugget. Our families have been so supportive, which for Asian families, it's a more rare for Asians to encourage their kids to go into the arts. Usually they want them to be like a doctor or a lawyer. So but we were very blessed to have Asian parents that were like, we love what you're doing. Go for it. Go for the arts, even though it's a little less, financial. It might be less financially sustainable. And
I think we're both very privileged that we had so much support in every aspect of our business, and that is 100% why I think our business has succeeded for the last for 6-7 years.
Yeah, that's phenomenal. Family is so important, and that support from family and friends is so wonderful. Yeah. So let's talk about the story that kids will experience when they're reading Escape from Nuggetville.
Yeah. Well, so much of Tubby's story is quite literally being supported by his parents to go pursue a life in which he can be himself and be the best version of himself. So Tubby comes from a town called Nuggetville where he's expected to grow up and kind of be this prestigious, golden version of himself.
All nuggets, when they come of age, right? They're all born, regular, whatever color they are, and then at some point, the city of golden nuggets deems them. It's kind of a ritual for them. You have to be dipped in gold and become a golden nugget. And then when you're a golden nugget, you also have to apply by the society rules,
Yes, which means no more colors, no more being squishy and eating normal food. It's a very silly
paint with gold
tradition.
Colors, And Tubby's like, wait a second.
I love my squishy brown coat.
I like painting with all these different colors. I like eating yummy foods,
Yeah.
And he tells his parents that, and his parents are very supportive.
His parents are,
but they're also realists. They're like, hey, yes, we want to support your dreams, but also you
might not be accepted in the Golden City if you go against their traditions.
A little parallels to our lives right there. But
spoiler alert, his family does end up helping him escape Nuggetville and find a new home on.
No, don't give too much of the plot.
All right.
You have to read
he's all right. All that to say is Tubby ends up okay, and I think the main message we want people to come away from the story with is that the right people in your lives will encourage the best version of yourself. They will see the beauty in everything that you are and not what you could be. And I think that's something that we feel very fortunate about, is that we have had family and friends and communities that have really supported us in our journeys, despite maybe not coming from the same places as they do.
Well, that is a great lesson for great lesson for everybody, but it's especially a great lesson for kids. That whole idea of you are a reflection of the 5 people you hang out with the most. I know I'm
I love that. That's so true.
You surround yourself with people who are supportive and loving, and if there's somebody in your life that's not so supportive, you can be polite and respectful and you do you. I'm gonna go over here with these guys.
Absolutely.
Exactly. Yeah. That's actually something we also highlight in the book as well, because Tubby has a friend who wants to be gold and actually really enjoys being gold. And Tubby is so supportive of their journey, and that friend, in contrast, is also like, oh, I support you not being gold if you don't want to be gold. So it's a beautiful friendship that we wanted to highlight in the story as well, is that not everyone's journey is going to look the same, and that's okay.
All right, so I got a monkey wrench here. I'm gonna throw, because this has been a love fest. I mean, we're just having fun. We're talking about Jeanine's smile, and to Joshua's a nugget, and that's so cute. I'm wondering about the creative process, because have there been times, Jeanine, when you come up with this fantastic idea for the story and you want to take the story in this direction, and Josh is like, yeah, no, I'm throwing the flag on that. I don't want to draw that. You got to come, Well, how do those conflicts get resolved?
I love this question, because it's actually very true that this has definitely happened to us in the past. Because when you're not the artist and you're the author, it's much easier to imagine like, oh, we can have like all of these things in the story, and the artist is just in the corner like I have to draw all of that.
It's a lot of work, man.
Just cut it back down by like 10 paces. Yeah, that has definitely happened to the two of us. I think it actually really encouraged us to have better communication when we first started working together, because our imaginations are both very large and very big, but we had to also be respectful of each other's capacity and each other's like creative vision. So
it doesn't just happen with the books. I mean, we make short videos online. I mean, every video, sometimes the video is really easy and we're both on the same page. And then some videos were like, okay, we're not really sure where this is going. I don't really see the vision, but let's just make it and see what happens, And yeah, I mean, communication is key. And sometimes I have to trust, as the artist, I have to trust that Jeanine sees something that I don't at the time. I'm like, okay, I'm just going to make this. Let me just start drawing, and maybe clearly you see something and I trust you, Mm-hmm. So, and honestly, let's be real, Jeanine is the heart and soul of Tubby Nugget.
Very sweet.
A lot of Tubby's characteristics are in line with her characteristics, very wholesome, very positive. And so I'm just like, okay, I'm just trying to capture that magic that you have, And sometimes there are days where I'm just like, okay, this is a lot of work. Maybe I've
learned not to take it personally if Josh is like, hey, I don't think that's gonna work out, because it's a lot of work that I don't think we can get done in a short amount of time. And so I was like, okay, it's not a critique on the writing, it's a critique on like, as a collaborator, how can I best respect your time and your capacity? Yeah.
And then there'll be ideas like the best part is when we're both really excited about an idea, and we just like. I'll give an example right now. We have this song. So Tubby does a lot of songs too, online, and I love it when Jeanine will be humming a random jingle, and I'm just like, oh, that's a great song idea, And sometimes we'll record it, and then we'll listen to the recording, and I'm just like, that's actually maybe not, But then sometimes I'm like, that's magic right there. And let's make that into a video and a song, And so that's always a fun. Yeah, the process, anything goes, That's the magic of the process, We're just. It feels like we're kids in a playground, Just, it's the same thing we did when we were like, 6 or 7 years old, just drawing, having fun, making up stories, and now that's our job as an adult. So it's pretty fun.
Yeah. Now, I have to ask, because, Joshua, you said that this was your first relationship with Jeanine, and now you just said, well, we're doing this, it's the same thing we did when we were 6 or 7. Have you guys been together since you were 6 or 7 years?
That's actually such a good question. We have been together quite a long time. Not that.
Been together for 10 years. Yeah. But I would imagine because I met her when I moved to California. Because
early.
Yeah. When I was, how old was I? I was 22 years old? Yeah. Yeah. And so we've been together for, 10 years now. Been married for 3. So that's been, it's been fantastic. And we've been working together on Tubby Nugget even longer than that. Yeah. So it's a lot of people have told us don't go into business with your significant other.
But it was a little too late when they gave us that advice.
We were like, we're already in this, so
listen, I like to say that it made our relationship stronger.
Yeah. We would have relationship fights, and then we would have business fights. And hey, what doesn't kill you makes you stronger. And we managed to work out through all of them, and it's been I couldn't imagine doing anything else.
Thank you.
That's wonderful. I love it. Tell me, Joshua, as the illustrator, and you're creating, how many illustrations, if you had to guess, are in Escape from Nuggetville?
Well, so the book, this is what's funny, when when our publishers came to us, they were like, yeah, you could do like 60 pages,
Josh was an overachiever.
And I'm just like, let's go for 100, 100 pages, So there's there's 100 pages in the books. It's a good, pretty long,
Good graphic novel, yeah.
Yeah, we have a lot of friends who like to sit down and read it read it to their kids.
Oh, our favorite thing is that now our friends who are parents now are reading it to their kids, and they're like, "Did you have to make it 100 pages? Because now my daughter or my son wants to read 100 pages every night."
Yeah, it takes sometimes they have to break it up into chunks, because it's a little longer than the average kid's book, but they're having fun. I mainly do all of the characters. I draw all the characters, and we have a lot of amazing friends who help us with the backgrounds. Because we were like, man, we want to really make Tubby's world very cinematic and immersive. And so we're going to need some extra help to make the illustrations extra vivid, so I couldn't I love working with this art team. And we get to include all my favorite, I get to be in control of all the expressions and the liveliness of the characters, and they get to make the world as vivid as possible, so. And they're great teams at Fable Media. So yeah.
Yeah, cool. I'm on your website. I see that there's a whole lot going on. You have posters and pens, t-shirts and plushies. And obviously you're thinking about this as a business, which is great. We have a lot of authors and aspiring authors, and I always like to remind people that when you write your children's book, you are becoming the CEO of your small business, and you two are obviously CEOs of your business. Jeanine, what's the long-term plans for this?
Wow. Well, long-term, I know that for us, like what's most important to us is accessibility. So being accessible on wherever people can find us, whether it's on social media platforms or on TV or in books. Like, I think for us, we've just always wanted Tubby to be present in whatever spaces like these new audiences might find us.
Yeah.
Like even for when it comes to our merchandise, like our plush toy has been probably the reason that we've been able to do this full time for as long as we have. It has always been one of our most popular products, and so people will adopt a nugget from Nuggetville when they buy one of our plush toys. And I love that it makes them a part of our narrative, and it makes it makes them a part of Tubby's story. And so, yeah, I think long term, it would be amazing to see like Tubby in even bigger like kinds of media, whether it be like a television show would be great, considering Josh and I have backgrounds in film. It would be really fun to go full circle and end up back on the big screen. So fun to do like music, like long form music videos, since we have a couple that are out.
Yeah.
They're a little harder to produce, but they're really fun to produce, and we love doing all these little Tubby jingles. Yeah. What about you, Josh?
I mean, yeah, I feel like you kind of hit it on the nail. I feel like when people talk about like what's next for the business, you always think bigger and, bigger projects and whatnot. But I feel like the real key is making it as accessible as possible for people. Cause I mean, one of the best things about doing this, is seeing people's reaction to Tubby Nuggets. And we have a lot of hardcore Tubby Nugget fans that genuinely just love the character. They say it brightens up their day. They really like, to having, just like back when I would draw them for Jeanine, before it was a business, sometimes people are having a bad day, and Tubby is really the thing that kicks them into gear and, completely changes the entire mood, of the day. And so we want to bring that to as many people as possible in as many ways as possible. And whatever shape or form that takes, we're game. So, yeah.
Cool. Do you ever sit back, Jeanine, and just take a moment to breathe and say, this is amazing. This cute little thing that the man that I love did for me is now making families smile all over the world.
Every day. Sometimes I wake up and I'm just like, I can't believe this is our job. Even when talking to my family and my friends about it, we laugh about it all the time, because I'm like, we really made up our jobs. I don't know what happened. I think I had looked at my future so differently when I was younger, like before Tubby. I was like, oh yeah, I'll be working underneath somebody. I'll be writing other people's stories for them. And so the privilege to be able to write a story that the two of us love so deeply and like make a career off of it, that's the dream. And I'm so appreciative of it. And the fact that our families are so supportive of it. My mom is like the biggest Tubby Nugget fan, and so she has a little shrine in her closet of all of the prototypes of every single piece of merch we've ever made.
Oh,
And
cool.
it's the sweetest thing in the world. She has like the original Tubby Nugget plushie in her closet, and I think just seeing that this little guy is encouraging people to like keep moving forward. It like I think back when Josh used to draw it for me, I almost thought that I was the silly, like I was like the only silly one who would enjoy this kind of content, because I was like, oh, it's so ridiculous and silly, but it's like, I don't know. I am very fortunate. I'm very fortunate.
Yeah.
Joshua, you mentioned your parents and the Asian stereotype parents. You know, parents want to say, oh, my kid's a doctor, my kid's a lawyer. Have you ever caught your parents saying, yeah, my son draws a Tubby Nugget all day long?
Yeah, no, now definitely now that we've been prominently featured. I mean, they've always been proud of us, you know. But with the recent book tour, we got the chance to be on ABC News, and we're doing this incredible podcast with you.
Yeah.
So
Go ahead, keep it coming, keep it coming.
iHeartRadio certified awarded, so that's it. No, it was a big deal.
That's definitely no joke.
And but they've always been proud. I definitely part of my story, right, is that I didn't go to college. I had 4 younger siblings, and I knew, my family, we're middle class, we weren't raking the dough, and college is very expensive, so, and I knew I wanted to be an artist, I want to go to art school.
His amazing mom homeschooled him.
Yeah, I was also
life, too.
homeschooled throughout my entire life as well. And so.
And he seems so normal, Jeanine. That's great.
Right?
It's
It's a fad. It's a mask. He's a big goofball.
I think I have growing up in New York to thank for that, because I feel like if I grew up in like the middle of nowhere, just surrounded by my own family, we would all driven each other crazy. But we were in New York, had a lot of had a social life. Thank God, So,
I'm a big, if a family wants to homeschool their kids, I'm a big supporter of it. I've met lots of homeschool kids, and they're great. And so I was just playing on the stereotypes.
Oh, no. We love messing with
I
Josh that
agree.
way.
Some of the stereotypes are true,
But I mean, the funny thing is that Josh actually because he had the opportunity to be homeschooled, that's how he self-taught himself how to be an artist and how to be an animator. And
I think we're kind of changing topics here, but one of the good things about homeschooling is that you get to make your own schedule, which is basically what we do now, So this is not super new for me, and
it's new for me, yes.
Yeah. And during all my free time, I got to, practice my art, and so going back to the school thing, I decided, I was like, okay, maybe I won't go to school. Art school is very expensive, and it kind of seems like you really, in order to get a job, you don't necessarily need a degree. You just need a good portfolio, right? So maybe if I build a good portfolio, that'll lead to jobs, and that did for a while, but there was a hot second where my future was a little uncertain. I had not gone to college. I was kind of trying to make, picking up freelance gigs in LA, trying to make life work,
He was an editor and a VFX artist.
And my parents were already very proud of me. They were like, the fact that you didn't go to college and still, have a career, that's great. And now that Tubby Nugget has blown up even more, they're so proud. My dad and my grandma actually gave us a little bit of seed money to help fundraise the business when it first got started, and I was just so thankful. We were able to buy, we were able to buy like our first batch of plush toys that you see on the website, because they helped. They gave us a little bit of money to buy those plush toys.
Yeah, so it was a few $1,000s, and we were like, I don't know if we can afford that with our savings at the young age that we were when we started.
Yeah, it was a bit of a risk. The very first batch of plush toys, I basically emptied my bank account to buy it, and thankfully made back a profit. But then we didn't have any more money for the next batch.
We were learning a lot
because we used it on rent and food. And so then my grandma and my dad came in. They were like, "Hey, here's a couple extra $1,000 for the next batch," and we were like, "Thank you." And so
learned a lot.
And
Again, very privileged to have a lot support.
It was a big learning process, and it goes back to being supported by your community. It means so much. Yeah.
Well, I love it. It's obvious that you guys have so much love for each other. You're supportive. You're talking about all the love that you experience from your family. And I have a feeling that that's exactly what families are going to experience when they're reading Tubby Nugget. Jeanine, tell us where we can go to find out more about the graphic novel, find out where they can get those plushies and T-shirts and all the other great stuff from Nuggetville.
Well, the great thing is our website has all of our links. So on www.tubbynugget.com, you can find all of our merch, which is not sold out. And you can also find links for where you can buy the books, which is like we wanted to support all of the different bookstores, the major ones that were selling the books. So we linked all of those different profiles where you can find it, whether it's Barnes & Nobles or your Amazon or Porchlight, which is also a great book source as well. And then we are Tubby Nugget on most social platforms. So very easy to find.
Very good. And have you started work on the next graphic novel?
Yes, it's actually done already.
Yeah, we just finished it.
It's coming out in October.
October 6th.
Yeah, I'm very, very excited. I think it's even better than this one. So.
Honestly, I really enjoyed writing this next one too.
Okay, well, can we have you back on in October?
Yeah,
I would love that.
Would love
yes.
that.
Oh
We
my
would
gosh.
love that. Yeah.
There you
Great
go.
excuse to say hi to you again too.
Awesome. Hey, I got to do it. You were mentioning you voice Tubby in the videos. Can I don't know if I'm ever going to use it, but can you say you're listening to Reading with Your Kids in Tubby's voice?
Oh, absolutely.
You're listening to Reading with Your Kids with our friend Jed. Hello, friends.
We've had a great time speaking to the driving force behind the Tubby Nugget universe. Our guest has been Jeanine Pastores and Joshua Jackson. Hey, my friends, thanks so much for being on Reading with Your Kids.
Thank you.
Thank
It was so
you.
nice to hang out with you.
It was an absolute pleasure.
Hey, my friends, this episode of Reading with Your Kids is brought to you by the Fred the Snake series, written by Dr. Peter Cotton. Hey, I have a question for you. Have you ever wanted to take your kids on an unforgettable adventure around the United States without leaving your couch? Well, buckle up, because Dr. Peter Cotton's Fred the Snake and Friends Explore the USA series is your family's ticket to adventure. From historical landmarks and bustling cities of the East Coast to the heartland wonders and hidden gems of central USA, all the way to the breathtaking parks and sun-soaked coastlines of the West. Fred the Snake and his friends are your guides on a journey filled with fun, friendship, and discovery. Kids just won't be entertained. They'll be learning about geography, culture, and the incredible diversity of our country, one adventure at a time. These beautifully illustrated books are perfect for curious kids, road trip dreaming, and families who love to explore together. So whether you're planning your next vacation or just imagining one, let Fred the Snake and his friends be your guide. Explore the East, discover the Central, and venture through the West. Fred the Snake and Friends Explore the USA, East, Central, and West by Dr. Peter Cotton. Great additions to your family library, because the greatest journeys we take are the ones we share with our kids. Join us right now from the beautiful state of Maryland. Our guest is here today to celebrate her debut graphic novel. It's called Skeletor the Decomposer. Please welcome to the show, Emily Ettlinger. Hey, Emily, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm wonderful. I can't wait. I said to Emily and her publicist that they grabbed my interest at the Decomposer. There's just something about that I love. Tell us all about Skeletor and why she's such a great decomposer.
So Skeletor is a skeleton who loves music, loves playing instruments, and she's having trouble because she really wants to play in the town band at the upcoming festival. But every time she tries to show her music, all the townspeople run away from her. So she's got to figure out what's going on.
That's such a great, fun idea. This cute little skeleton who loves music and loves making people happy, but just terrifies people.
Yeah, she doesn't know what's happening. So,
yeah.
And she keeps trying different instruments, and none of them are working.
And I love that. She thinks it's the instruments that scaring the people away and that it's not her.
Well, we don't know. What is it?
So
I don't want to spoil anything.
Where did the idea for this come from?
So the base idea came from, I was just doodling I drew a skeleton playing a fiddle, and I really like the idea that we kind of collectively all agree skeletons like music. There's all these illustrations of them playing in bands and dancing around and having little skeleton music parties. So that basic pitch I gave you was the base idea of like, oh, what if this skeleton really wanted to be in a band and like didn't really get what was like wrong with her, like running around. Like, she's very active. She's very like one of the jocular, like popping up out of places, like, you know, grinning skull, like excitable skeletons.
Yeah. You were telling me before the podcast began that you are primarily a comic writer, but that Skeletor started life, the idea for Skeletor started life as an idea for a picture book, and then kind of morphed into a graphic novel for kids. How did that happen, and why did the powers that be, including yourself, decide that, oh, this is a story best told through the graphic novel format?
Well, originally, so this started during the pandemic, and I really wanted to make something that I felt was manageable. So a shorter story, like a picture book, even though my interest had always been longer comics, seemed a little bit easier to get done and pitch. And then as I was trying to write it, I kept on wanting, because I'm used to comics, I kept on wanting more on the page and kept on wanting characters to like speak in speech bubbles, and imagining that in my head. So then it turned into a picture book length comic that we pitched. And then the publisher, the first publisher who bit was Penguin Workshop, and they came back and said, hey, we're interested in this, but would you be interested in like making it, do you think you could make it twice as long, and make it a full graphic novel? And at first I was like, I don't know. And then I accidentally like quadrupled the length, like I made it like 4 times as long. Cause jokes actually, there was one joke I had to cut out because it took like 4 pages to tell like the whole setup. And it just like, I still like it, but it's like, it actually takes up so much space sometimes to tell a joke. So a lot had to get cut out, unfortunately.
You know, you make it a good point, something that I think we don't think about that much. When I was growing up and I thought comic, I always thought comedy. Mm-hmm. To me, comic strips and, you know, in the newspapers, I know there was some adventure ones like Prince Valiant and whatnot, but to me it was just like that. Oh, I read the comics to get a laugh. And it was the same when it came to comic books. I never kind of thought of comics, but even though I was looking at comics for comedy, I never thought of comic strip writers as comedians or comedy writers. And you're at your core, you're a comedy writer.
I mean, I do like writing jokes. The title has 2 puns in it, so you know I love a lot of puns.
Yeah. So I guess I typically will ask an author illustrator, you know, what comes first, the illustrations or the words? For you, what comes first, the illustrations or the jokes?
Well, it's like I said, this is my first book, so it was a little interesting having to work in like a publisher's timeline rather than my own, because normally I'd be drawing the thumbnails at the same time as I'm writing to see like, oh, okay, can I fit this in? Do I have to break up this page? As opposed to the publisher wanted a finished script before I moved on to actually drawing. So I was still doing the thumbnails on my own, just to like, because I was like, I have a terrible sense of how much script is going to turn into comic. Like, I have to be drawing at the same time, because I'm like, this speech bubble actually takes up way more space, which means that this page has less space, which, it changes the whole book, and, fitting in stuff like 2-page spreads. It's a lot of kind of fiddly moving bits around, including the text. So it was kind of a challenge to do the script, finished script first. But it worked out. So, and it was nice to, not have to have drawn the whole thing for somebody to say, this part's not working, can you change it? Because that would have been a lot more work than just deleting a line of text in a Word document.
Yeah. I've had some interesting conversations with graphic novel artists and authors. One of them came on the show, and I asked her the inspiration for her character and the look of her character, and she said, very honestly, she goes, I knew I was going to have to draw this 800 times, so I made it as simple as possible. And then the very next day, I was speaking to somebody who was doing a graphic novel about ancient Greek history, and she said, this is such a challenge because I have to everything, and there's details and this. So it was completely different point of view or process for them.
No, I couldn't do a historical comic for exactly that reason. I'd be so freaked out about getting everything accurate and, doing all the research on the littlest things. Yeah.
What is it, do you think, about skeletons that really delight kids? I mean, because we joke about them. We have all these dopey kid jokes, why didn't the skeleton go to the prom? He had no Bobby to dance with. But kids love them. Why do you think that is?
I think it's a brand of scary that's a little bit more accessible and friendly. Like, I think that we have these very specific, spooky characters that you see, on Halloween, packaging and stuff, like a wolf man and, Frankenstein's monster and a mummy and a skeleton. So I think we're actually exposed to it pretty early on. I grew up with Scooby-Doo, which is very classic brand of it's spooky. It's not horror. It's just a little bit of fun, but it's not that threatening. There's not any gore. This is just a friendly monster.
Yeah. Well,
not friendly in Scooby-Doo's case, but
well, and that's a good point. Because spooky is different than horror.
Yeah.
Stephen King doesn't write spooky. He writes terrifying and nightmares and childhood trauma. So yeah, okay. So I get that. What is it that are you drawn to draw spooky comics and stories?
I didn't particularly think of myself as one, but I kind of noticed half my stories have a ghost in them. I was setting up my pinned Twitter, so I was picking pictures that I liked to kind of be I'm an artist, here's some of my art. And two of them had skeletons and one had witches. So I'm I guess I draw this stuff a lot. It just hadn't really occurred to me as something that was that I drew that often compared to anybody else, which I think it's actually, that kind of, character is popular right now in particular. Again, maybe because my generation grew up with Scooby-Doo and stuff with Casper the Friendly Ghost. It's very, I think little creatures and monsters and stuff like that are very popular right now.
Yeah. I was having a discussion, I think it was with my beautiful wife, about the cartoons that her and I grew up with. And I'm much older than her, and I'm decades older than you. And we're talking about, Bugs Bunny and the the Roadrunner and the Wile E. Coyote, and a lot of those those cartoons that we're watching probably couldn't be made today. I don't know if it would be cool to have a whole cartoon, 30-minute cartoon about one creature trying to blow up a Roadrunner, and coming up with all sorts of ways to destroy the Roadrunner. Have you noticed that there's been a change in cartoons and comics from when you were growing up to what's appropriate and acceptable now?
I think there's always going to be a change, because it's been, 20 years since I was a kid. But I think that I'm seeing a lot more, not necessarily for little kids, like super, super little, but for, 7 and up, I've seen a lot of cartoons that really focus on empathy, which I really like seeing personally. One thing that I saw a lot as a kid that irritated me when I was a kid was seeing these, specific episodes. The ones I remember the most are, girl power episodes, being like, hey, girls are people too. And even as a kid, I was like, why do we have to have a specific episode that they say this? Shouldn't this be prevalent in your show, inherently? And some of them would have, the male characters that I'm supposed to like being jerks. And I'm like, why are you friends with this guy if this is what he thinks? So I feel like I've seen more shows where that's just, that kind of lesson is more built into the show and doesn't feel as awkward. Being like, everyone's a person and, different people have different problems. So, I am happy for the change, and they still show, Bugs Bunny, and, I'm a big fan of slapstick comedy. Unfortunately, if someone gets hurt, but not seriously hurt, I unfortunately giggle a little, which is not kind. But, I still think that there's plenty of that, maybe a little less violent, but still kind of harmless. Yeah. Somebody exploding,
I certainly am a fan of slapstick comedy, but I'll be honest with you. I can watch Bugs Bunny and all those classic things all day long. Three Stooges, huge fan. But there are a couple of feeds that come up on my Instagram of, just people doing dumb things or accidents happening, and I have a real hard time watching. Oh, if it looks like someone got hurt, I'm like, I get upset that it was posted at all. But if it's clear that everyone's fine, it's just like somebody did something foolish, then I'll laugh. But again, if it's like, if you have to clench your jaw when you see it, then I'm not laughing. The graphic novel is, I'm seeing this trend that we're having more and more graphic novels, more and more for younger and younger kids. Is that what you're seeing, and how do you feel about that? Do you think that this, again, you were thinking initially that Scalanor would be a picture book? Are you loving the fact that there are more opportunities for comic writers like you to do graphic novels for younger audiences? Oh, absolutely. So I got into comics originally through manga, Japanese comics. And I was making comics with my friends since I was in 5th grade. But it wasn't, I didn't really see anything I was interested in as much in American comics. I was never into DC or Marvel. Except for maybe, Calvin and Hobbes. There wasn't that much that I was, attached to for American comics. And I'd kind of, I wouldn't say I'd given up on it being a career thing, kind of near the end of college, because I was like, this isn't there's not really a market for this. And that's kind of when it exploded. And there was so much, there's always been American indie comics, but a lot of them were styles that either I didn't have exposure to them because they're more adult, or
they weren't styles that I liked. And it feels like my generation who grew up on manga, like, was like, we want this, like, we want these stories in this style, like, in these styles that are, like, way, that are, have just, like, a much bigger range than just, like, specifically superheroes. So it's very cool to see, like, all the stuff that's come out, in the last, like, 5-10 years. That's just completely different than, you know, when I was coming up.
Yeah. So not that I'm enough of an artist or know enough about art to understand, but can you talk a little bit about that style that you're referring to, especially your style, and, you know, how would you describe it?
So I liked, let's see. It's very hard to describe style, I think, but I just, like, the styles that I saw in manga more, like, anime-y, like, leaning more towards trying to make things, like, I read a lot of shoujo, which is, like, girls manga, so a lot of kind of prettier illustrations, more flowery, I guess. Mm-hmm. But also, more, like, gritty comics that really focus on, like, having, I don't know, I guess, like, style's hard, but it's also, I'd say, the stories. I liked the flow of manga better. They're generally longer series, mm-hmm. That I felt like I could get into the characters more. And they were all, like, I mean, they had assistants, but it was one main artist working on it, as opposed to, like, American comics, where you would read it would be drawn by, like, one person, then it would switch over to another person, and it felt less cohesive. Mm-hmm. Like, the art for them is still amazing. It was just not something that drew me in, mm-hmm. As a kid. Yeah. The stories either, especially, you know, there was a lot of detective stuff, or like kind of teen drama, like, you know, Archie, mm-hmm. Which teen drama is very prevalent in, like, manga. I'm not saying that, but, you know, it was just felt new.
Yeah. Well, I love the illustration of Skeletor on your website is delightful. It really is. It's fun. You have this skeleton playing a violin, and there's a starry night sky behind it, and all the, you know, kind of musical notes dancing around her. It's definitely something that I can see kids and families just really loving a whole lot.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah. And also, as I'm looking at that, I'm thinking this would thought that this would be a fun comic strip to read in the newspaper every day. Although, if your jokes are taking 4 pages to tell, you probably couldn't tell them in 3 panels.
I could shorten some. I mean, I think skeletons have a lot of, you know, we're talking about slapstick. Skeletons, mm-hmm. It feels very easy to have, you know, an arm pop off without anyone being, like, concerned. Because, mm-hmm. again, speaking of skeleton lore that we all just accept, which is that, yeah, you could just pop it back on and it's fine. Like,
yes. Replace one with another, no problem.
Yeah, a skeleton's head can fall off, and you could put a pump in there instead, and she's fine.
Well, you know, the thing about a daily comic strip is that it's out every day, and there's new stories. Are we going to see, is Skeletor going to become a series, do you think?
I guess it could be.
You don't want to jinx it. I can tell in your voice.
Yeah. I could, again, I accidentally doubled or quadrupled the book, so maybe I could write more. But I don't know, a whole series.
Well, we'll see. We'll keep our fingers crossed. Hey, Emily, where can we go to find out more about Skelenor and also find out more about you?
So Penguin Random House's website has it listed. You can find all the information on anywhere books are sold. I found that Skelenor gets autocorrected to Skeletor sometimes. So you could look up my name if you're having trouble. Which luckily Ettlinger is not that common of a last name. Mm-hmm. My website is EMIETT, Emiette, the first 3 letters of my first and last name, .com.
Cool.
And yeah.
Well, we've had a really great time speaking to the author and illustrator of Skelenor the Decomposer, great graphic novel for kids by our guest, Emily Ettlinger. Hey, Emily, thanks so much for being with us.
Thank you for having me.
Hey, we hope you've enjoyed this episode of Reading with Your Kids and will join us for the next exciting episode of the show. If this episode made you smile or gave you something to think about, share a link to the show with someone you love, leave a 5-star review, and, of course, subscribe to the show wherever you find your favorite shows. Want to thank the folks who made today's show so wonderful, starting with our amazing guests, Jeanine Pasturis and Joshua Jackson. Please be sure to check out the Adventures of Tubby Nugget Escape from Nuggetville. Also want to thank Emily Ettlinger. Please be sure to check out Skelenor the Decomposer. I want to thank my team, Jackson Sotelera, Chris Doherty. I want to thank my beautiful wife for all the support and love she brings into my life. Most of all, we all want to thank you. Thank you so much for taking the time to join us today. And as always, thank you so very much for taking the time to make the world a better, stronger, kinder, more empathetic place. And you do that every time you read with your kids. I'll be looking through the next episode of Reading with Your Kids.